thanks. Give thanks with love and gratitude. Give thanks. Give thanks. I'm in the mood for love, for sharing my true heart. We all play a part in this beautiful play. Give thanks, I'm alive. Give thanks, I'm here with you. Give thanks for kombucha. Give thanks. Give thanks. I'm in the mood for some gratitude. Makes me feel good when I'm feeling blue. All I have to do is think about what I'm really grateful for. And then I shift. And then I shift. Hey everybody, hi! It is I, Hannah Rohama, the Kombucha Mama, mother to mazillions of bacteria around the globe. In fact, some of my bacteria might even be in your home right now. Woohoo! Or in your belly. If you've been drinking your booch, or your milk kefir, your water kefir, your jun. Hi! And so I am excited for our guest today, Dr. Sally Lamont. She is a dear friend, an amazing naturopath. Oh my gosh, and she even was there at the time of like helping to stand up for the rights of naturopaths so that they could be recognized. And she just has so much wisdom she's going to come share with us. But before she gets here, I just wanted to offer this little prayer, this little blessing. We are entering here in the United States, we're entering into Thanksgiving week. That's this Thursday. And I'm just really grateful that I'll get time to spend with family, of course, to feast, and just really lean into this part of the season, right? What I love about our year is that there are these different touch points. No matter where you live, where you are, there's different festivals or different holidays that help us mark the passage of time. And Thanksgiving has always been my favorite holiday because it's about gratitude, generosity, blessings, and just really sitting in that space of appreciating all the work that has happened, everything that we've cultivated up to this time, and then leaning into what's next. So I love the winter. Of course, I am a Scorpio baby, so maybe it's just my season, if you will, but I am so glad you guys are here today. So yay, Dr. Sally's here. Okay, Dr. Sally, so just click the little plus button down below on the camera and we'll get you on here in just a minute. But I'm so excited because at the holidays, there's so many yummy ways that we can prepare our kombucha to share with others and to, help digest all of the food we're going to eat. And so I'm going to welcome on Dr. Sally here and we'll get into our conversation. Okay, so actually, send request to be live in your videos, but then it says no requests. Oh, here we go. Yes, right? We need more kombucha, jun, milk kefir, water kefir to help us as we're going to feast, and we need help digesting, right? That whole after you eat the turkey and you're passed out on the couch, then you need something that's going to help you get some energy back so you can enjoy the rest of your holiday. Hi, Dr. Sally.
Hi, Hannah. So good to see you.
So good to see you. And I'm excited to see you in person next week.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's coming up so soon. Our sister.
Yeah. Yes, we are in a sisterhood together and excited to be gathering in person. And I'm so excited to have you here. You know, I was telling people a little bit about how you were one of the people at the very early stages of the naturopathic movement who were fighting to make sure that naturopaths were respected and were able to practice their craft. So first of all, let's introduce you. Why don't you just share a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing? But I'd love to kind of hear some of that passionate history of what got you into what you're doing.
Well, hi, everyone. It's really great to be here with Hannah. I'm a naturopathic doctor and an acupuncturist with a practice in Northern California. But I grew up in Wichita, Kansas in the 50s, where no one was interested in health. And by the time I got into college and was eating the average American diet, I started to feel it. And I looked around me and saw all of my healthy, young, beautiful cousins getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then my aunts and uncles started having heart attacks and got diabetes. And just sitting there in the middle of the country, I knew it was related to the way they ate and lived. No one exercised. Everyone ate bread and cheese and milk and meat. And it was clear that diet and lifestyle had everything to do with health. So I got a degree in biology and was really fortunate to find out about a burgeoning profession, or one that had actually been around, but was getting stamped out by conventional medicine, who went, who are these guys? We don't need them. We do it all. And clearly they weren't. So I said, you know, this is for me. And I went to Portland, Oregon after getting a degree in biology, and went through the 4-year graduate level naturopathic medical school, graduated 40 years ago. It's hard to believe.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 81. So 41 years ago. And I got my license as an acupuncturist right off the bat because I wanted to live in California where NDs weren't licensed. And I practiced as an acupuncturist. And then a number of our colleagues formed a state association and went, you know, we're just going to have to pass a bill through the California legislature to license naturopathic doctors. So we're not underground. So we're part of the healthcare system. And it was an amazingly challenging and difficult experience because there's a turf battle out there and nobody wants anybody on their turf. So they kind of, you know, in an old boys school kind of way, just nudge out the new people. But we persevered and we educated the public about who we are and our training and our taking board exams nationally and being licensed. And after about 8 hard years, we got our bill passed in 2003. So we're coming up on 20 years that NDs have been licensed as primary care providers in California.
That is amazing. And what a powerful story. You may or may not be aware, but at Kombucha Brewers International, we're also lobbying. We're trying to update outdated laws that have to do with prohibition and not understanding alcohol levels of traditionally fermented beverages and things like that. So I completely resonate with the challenge and how difficult it can be. And so I really just want to acknowledge that major contribution. I think so many people in California are incredibly grateful that you and the group of others took up that fight, because while Western medicine can be really great for very specific things and very acute trauma, things like this, we also know that it tends to default to Band-Aids. It tends to default to things that don't actually go to the root cause of what's happening, whereas something like naturopathy can do that, and acupuncture and all of these other beautiful modalities that have their roots really in herbalism and, like you said, food and healing ourselves through more natural pathways, as opposed to only getting a prescription drug or really intense treatment that may not be necessary for that.
Exactly. Yes, naturopathic medicine really grew out of the nature cure movement in Europe back in the 1800s, using food and fasting and hydrotherapy and saunas and light therapy, you know, the basics. But we've always used herbal medicine and we've always used food as medicine. And so I went back into practice, coming up on 15, 20 years ago now. And because I can't see everyone one-on-one, I created Dr. Sally's Kitchen, which is my online life. And it is through that I met you.
And you know, it's so funny you say back in the 1800s, sauna and light therapy, because I feel like those are the things that are trending right now. Like how interesting that, you know, history goes in these waves and cycles, and now that's coming back into the conversation. And so it's so exciting. And I'm glad that, like you said, I mean, our mission here is changing the world one gut at a time. We know we can't do it alone. I'm never going to connect with all 8 billion people on this planet. But by creating a repository, creating a resource where lots of people can come and get this information sounds so great. So tell us a little bit about Dr. Sally's Kitchen. What are we learning there on your website?
Well, I love to cook, so I regularly put out recipes and have a whole set of recipes that I would say tend to be in the paleo category, in that I do include and think many people benefit from having some flesh protein in their diet, but we have to have a plant-based diet. We evolved on this earth eating plants. We have receptors on our cells for all the phytochemicals, which are the colored pigments in vegetables and fruits. Those things actually interact with our genes and help to program them to function properly. And then depending on our body type, our genetic ancestry, some people are going to do better with a little more protein in their diet. So you'll find fish and chicken recipes on there too. But so recipes, I have a couple of online classes. I do spring clean your body in the spring. And the good food way to power up your immune system in the fall, which is really good. And it's a blend of education, inspiration, and food recipes, cooking demos in both. And yeah, so I put out a weekly blog, and just I love to teach and educate people about the healing power of food.
Yes, empowerment through education was definitely the pathway I chose. You know, we, as bacteria farmers, right, we have the starters for people who want to make their own at home. And then we also, so I teach Amanda Fish, but then we also support the fishermen at the trade association. And so I let everyone else make the kombucha that you can go buy at the store. And I support those folks who do it. And then, of course, I support you to do your own. And so I love hearing that you're doing that same thing, where you're empowering people to take back their health simply by making a few shifts and tweaks in their diet. And so just about that immune class, is that available now? Is that something people can sign up for? I feel like we've heard a lot about the flu and cold season coming back up, but with a vengeance. Now that we're all connecting again. So are people able to get access to that now?
Yes, yes. If you go to Dr. Sally's Kitchen, and you'll put a link in, but it's Dr. Sally's Kitchen. There is a shop page, and on there are links to my online classes. And it's a 4-week class, but it's evergreen. You can do it at your own pace. But I suggest jumping right in, because in the first session, I really teach people about their immune system, like this amazing army of cells that are present to support us and keep us healthy. And then I go into the foods and the nutrients and the lifestyle practices that keep our immune system balanced. Not necessarily boosted, because there's autoimmunity and we don't want to go too far, but we want a balanced, functional immune system. And so much of it truly comes down to the way we eat and live.
Agreed. And I think balance is the key, because we're about to go out of balance, so to speak, like everything in moderation, including moderation, which means at these feast days, at something like a Thanksgiving, we're going to indulge. And that's going to feel fun and exciting, especially if we don't always indulge. It really becomes that treat. But however, we may not want to take on so much sugar or so many calories. Are there any, tweaks you can share with us, or any kind of substitutions that might help just infuse a little bit more of that healthy part while still pleasing the palate and being fun? What do you suggest?
Well, I suggest starting with keeping your blood sugar balanced, because hitting a party when you're starving means you're just, going to fall prey to what is ever in front of you. So one of the things I suggest is that you you pay attention to your meal timing, and you actually get 2 to 3 good meals, balanced meals in each day, especially going into the holidays. Get at least 5 to 7 servings of veggies and fruit. So you're getting all those phytonutrients and fiber-rich foods. Veggies and fruits and grains and beans all have the fiber that allows the sugars contained in those foods to be released slowly instead of rapidly. So we don't get that spike and then the fall in blood sugar, which is what leads to cravings and making us make some bad food choices.
Well, and the fiber also has like prebiotics, right? Because they not only are good for our digestion, but part of why they're so good is because they become the food for the microbes that are then protecting our gut.
Yes, because those little microbes make good things for us, including some vitamins, but they make these things called short chain fatty acids that are food for our intestinal cells that line the gut. So there is such a symbiotic relationship, as you know, between the microbiome and our health, and fiber in the form of prebiotic fibers are a good portion of it. And then just the soluble and insoluble fibers too help to keep the gut functioning and eliminating regularly, because we know so many women who only have a bowel movement once a week or twice a week, and that's like crazy. So we gotta make good, healthy fibers be available to us. So just eating well as you can, so that when you do hit a party, you're prepared. And one of the tips that I would want to suggest is that if it's appropriate, you ask the hostess if you can bring a gift, a food gift. And I was thinking how, some homebrewed kombucha is probably a totally cool gift, and that would be a wonderful thing. But I have a recipe on my website for a cannellini bean dip. That's a white bean, super easy to make. Put a nice set of veggies around it and some good gluten-free crackers, and take that. Would be a gift that almost everybody can eat. I also have some like coconut dark chocolate little keto dessert balls that there's a recipe of on the website, and those would be beautiful to take too. Of course, you can always do a beautiful salad, but if they don't, if you know you're going to a party where it's going to just be pizza and bags of chips and salsa, eat before you go. So you go
Right.
in nourished, and you're not kind of at the mercy of whatever food is on that table in front of you.
Right, and you can still eat some of it, just that's not your meal, right?
Exactly.
You've already gotten the healthy stuff in, and now you can enjoy the treats, the snack parts, and the in portion sizes that give you that enjoyment without and allow you to indulge, but without paying the price of indulging later.
Exactly. And at this time of year, I call them elf portions. So when you come up to that table, take a survey of what's on that table and kind of gravitate towards the healthy foods that you do want to eat, but consume small quantities. And I just want to say, I appreciated that you said moderation. It's okay to eat a little bit of this and that. I mean, if you want a cocktail, and we'll come back to alcohol later, but moderation, in my mind, is a key to success. There's a problem that's emerging in America, as you may know, called orthorexia, where people get so obsessed with eating the right food that they are no longer happy because they're constantly monitoring. So that's the pendulum swung a little too far the other way. It's okay to have a treat. You just want to do it in an amount that's not going to leave you feeling sick and
Well, I think mindful, right? Like you're making room for yourself to enjoy and consume that, but you're not letting it take over and become what you're doing, and then you beat yourself up later, like, I ate too much, I overindulged, or then your body gives you that feedback, like, I feel terrible, I have a stomach ache, But you know what? Sometimes it's going to happen. And so, yes, of course, any of the fermented beverages or fermented foods are always going to help with digestion. That's their purpose. But what are some other things that people might take that could really help with digestion as we're going into this heavier eating season here?
Well, first of all, digestion begins in your mouth with the act of chewing. So when you're standing there, like instead of just snarfing and gulping food as we so often do, take a moment to really savor that food, mix the salivary enzymes with it. And of course, you can take a digestive enzyme. That's actually a good thing to, if that's what you meant by taking something to support digestion. There are wonderful digestive enzymes. I have access to some of them on Dr. Sally's Kitchen, where I have an online store, and I have highlighted a few good digestive enzymes. If you're going to have protein in that meal, and you may not digest it well, it's a good time to use one that has a little hydrochloric acid in it to support the stomach in beginning to break down food. So chewing your
Yeah, definitely that. And then I think bitters is another one that people used to make and have around all the time. And maybe we think of like Angostura bitters in a cocktail or something, but it used to be you would have, I mean, bitter and sour are the flavors of health and digestion. It doesn't mean we need them in massive quantities, but when we're, using them as tools to aid our digestive system to really boost it, I think that's a really great way to support yourself, especially as we're, maybe eating things we don't normally let ourselves consume.
Yeah, I love that idea of the bitters. Now, can you put bitters in kombucha? You could, couldn't you?
You know what, here, let me just share a quick little story with you. Here's what I learned is that when you have bitter and then sour, it creates sweet in your mouth. So I was at, I want to say like a Weston Price conference up in the Portland area, and I was sampling some bitters, and then right next to it was ollie kraut. So then I sampled the kraut after having taken the bitters, and there was this magical alchemy that occurred in my mouth that was so amazing. I was like, wow, that really is not what I was expecting that flavor profile to taste like. So yeah. I bet you could put some bitters in your booch and it wouldn't maybe taste as bitter.
Well, and it would make, I think it would give it an interesting flavor, because you can buy bitters that are augmented with different flavors, and you can add those to cocktails, but why not add it to kombucha? I did not know that, and I should have known that the combo of bitter followed by sour creates sweet. And I would think that combination also stimulates digestive enzyme output naturally. And that's what we want.
Exactly. Well, it gets all those salivary glands working. I know, bitters are an intense flavor, and I do enjoy using them. And that's exactly what they're doing is it's triggering all that saliva to start working. And I bet your gastric juices are also getting turned on at that point. And to your point, the chewing is so important. And I'm guilty of snarfing. I am guilty of not paying attention and just throwing things down my gullet, oftentimes to dismay if I'm not paying enough attention. But I always think that's such a powerful reminder is this is where digestion starts first, is in your mouth, is in the chewing.
It really is. And breathing and relaxing while we're eating instead of being in our heads. And that's harder when you're in a party and you're around other people, but it's still a good plan, and it will help you come through an event feeling more balanced and healthy, instead of, like you said, regretting that you'd eaten that stuff. Another thing I want to just mention before I forget is keeping your caffeine intake under control at this time too. It may feel good, and it is easy to drink caffeine to keep us going, but it can contribute to hypoglycemia, cause to crave things and eat more than we normally would. So I think it's important just to watch that during the holidays. We don't want to get cranky and hypoglycemic and end up eating things we wish we wouldn't have.
We're already gonna be cranky because we're around family, and while we love them, we know there can always be challenges. So anything we can do to reduce that tension is going to be valuable. So if I didn't want caffeine, but I wanted something that was still gonna make me naturally feel good or be a treat, what other types of beverages might you suggest?
Well, teas. I love tea. And of course, kombucha, because that's the obvious one. Um, so teas would be my main thing. Water. Drink water. In fact, at most parties, there's alcohol. So my prescription for managing that is to, if you have a drink of alcohol, the next thing you drink is a glass of water. Alternate them right off the bat. That's going to keep you from getting a DUI, and it's going to allow you to stay hydrated because alcohol is something that tends to be a diuretic and cause us to want to drink more. So intersperse alcohol with water, and you could even take a box of your favorite tea to the hostess gift too. Beyond that. And the other thing I wanted to say about alcohol is counting each drink. I think the older we get, the more aware of this we become. I have a 25-year-old daughter, and they are still in the drink way more than they should be phase. And if you're not being careful, like you never want to drink alcohol on an empty stomach. And so drink some kombucha before you go and get the benefits of it. And kombucha has just enough sugar in it to kind of give you a lift for your blood sugar. It's not going to deplete you and cause you to be hypoglycemic or have your blood sugar spike too much and set you on that roller coaster. So drinking a glass of water between each cocktail and really paying attention to your limits so that you don't regret how you felt the next, or, being hungover.
So true. But what really helped me back when I was drinking too much was kombucha. I know I hate to be a broken record here, but the reality is because it has organic acids that support a healthy liver. In fact, making kombucha cocktails is one of my favorite things to do, especially at the holidays, because this way I can enjoy a little bit of alcohol. I'm also tempering it. I've got a little antidote with my poison, if you will. And it means actually I can maybe enjoy one more cocktail than I normally would because it's not going to have the same deleterious effect on my body overall. But that said, I would say for teas, maybe like a peppermint tea is really great for digestion, and it has such a refreshing flavor to it. I bet that would be a really great one. And it sort of fits with the season, right? Candy canes and mint and whatnot. So, so that might be a really good one to bring.
Yeah, I like that. Fennel too is really good for digestion, and but mint is probably the easiest one, and it says holidays.
It does. So we've touched on cocktails, we've touched on different foods. What are some of your tips for de-stressing during the holidays?
Pacing yourself and meditating each day. Honestly, if you take 10 minutes in the morning to ground and center yourself, or that could be afternoon, just to follow your breath and try to quiet your mind. That is one of the very, very best things that you can do. Keep your exercise up. It's really easy to get sluggish and not put some of these things first. But get out there every day and enjoy the beauty of nature. That's going to keep you balanced and keep you from getting stressed so that you end up making poor food choices. Let's see.
Well, and I think just about the outdoors, because some places it's really cold, but my understanding is actually cold weather is good for our immune system. It actually helps with resilience. This is the whole concept behind taking a cold plunge. But there's something about exposing yourself to cold, obviously not giving yourself frostbite or anything, but that can be refreshing. And so even when it's cold outside, or even if you're not doing your regular routine, just getting a 10-minute walk in or doing a couple laps around the block can just help with that digestive process and really help like you said, to stay grounded. You know, there's so much going on at the holidays, and we can get into overwhelm really easy because there's just this planning that and getting this done, and on
Right.
top of all the other things that we normally have going on in life, this is really great advice to stay grounded.
Yeah, keeping your movement up, keeping your sleep up, and drinking a glass of water between every cocktail really makes a difference. And count them if you have to. Having a 25-year-old and listening to the way that kids party today, it is really easy for them to drink way more. So having a glass of water between each one, and doing a kombucha between each.
Mhm.
And I think the kombucha cocktail is a really interesting idea. Um,
They're really tasty too. Well, so here's the thing, even though I'm not a 25-year-old anymore, I just turned 47. If there is free alcohol, I notice I will over consume. And so that's where, for me, here's what I do is I bring, even when I go out to eat, I will bring a bottle of kombucha with me. I'll order a cocktail, and then surreptitiously I'll just keep topping it off with kombucha. So that way I don't end up in a place where, okay, I've overconsumed. Now I'm not feeling so great. And now the rest of my evening isn't as fun as I would have liked it to be because I've overindulged. And so,
yeah,
so I
that's a
definitely think
great,
it's, yeah,
great idea.
yeah. But I don't know about anyone else out there, but free drinks, I'm in. Just, I
Yeah,
need to then exercise a little more self-control.
yeah, and that's where staying hydrated, alternating alcohol with water, actually keeping track of how many drinks you have can save you from a really vicious hangover the next day. But staying hydrated, like counting each drink, and putting a designated driver in charge. Now we're lucky because we've got Uber and Lyft to
Mhm.
transport around, which I think gives people sometimes a sense of like, hey, I'm not driving, so I get to party too much. But
Mhm.
you don't want to pay that price. It's tough on the body. It's really tough on the body. The
And then you're
whole
not in
hang.
a good frame of mind, and now you've got to deal with family members, and then
Right.
nobody's happy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those are all some really great tips. What are some of your other holiday secrets, whether that's food or practices? How do you like to celebrate in a way that's also healthy for your body?
Well, I think getting a good night's sleep is paramount. And I want to encourage everybody to do that. You know, it's the time of the year where other animals hibernate. And we
Mhm.
have a tendency to, when we're on holiday break, want to stay up late and watch movies and howl at the moon. And yet in nature, other animals are sleeping. So I want to suggest that you pace yourself and think about those foundations of health. Um, Stay very well hydrated, meditate, and get out and do those laps around the block, like you said, even if it's cold, just not succumbing to this tendency to hole up and eat and drink too much for, a week and a half just because you can.
Exactly. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good, I think balance. Then you come out on the other side. You don't feel as gross. You're not doing the whole beating yourself up, which can put you into a shame spiral or which will make everything even worse. And so the more that we can have these little ways to pull ourselves back, to put ourselves back into balance, that means we can enjoy life more because, I think people sometimes perceive boundaries as a lack of freedom. I think the opposite. When you have healthy boundaries in place, you actually have more freedom because you know where the lines are. So an example would be like writing a haiku, which is a 575 syllable poem. And when you have that restriction, it causes your creativity to be sparked because now you're trying to fit within this boundary. And so when we give ourselves permission to make those healthy boundaries, to realize that they're not a restriction, they're actually an opportunity for freedom, then we can really play within that. And that same thing applies to our practices, to the food we eat. to all the different things that we're doing. And, you know, it's one of my little phrases over here, healthy boundaries leads to a healthy culture. Specifically like how we take care of our kombucha and recognizing that it has its own needs. And when we meet those needs, that's when we get this really healthy, flourishing kombucha culture. So I think it can also apply to how we're living our lives. Was there any other courses or supplements that you recommend or anything else that you can share with folks so that they can, you know, really feel nourished during this season?
Well, I think you have to, in this talk about alcohol, count your drinks, space them out, drink water or kombucha in between. I love your idea of lengthening the cocktail by diluting it with kombucha. That way you get the health benefits and the pleasure, but you don't overdo it and end up making yourself sick and then feel guilty and bad about it. So counting each drink, spacing each drink, traveling with a designated driver, basically supporting your foundation so that when you show up at a party, you're nurtured, you're feeling healthy, you're hydrated, you're bringing a gift that you can enjoy, and so can everyone else. And then enjoying the good life, being able to eat, drink, and be merry, and really celebrate without crashing yourself so that you're so hungover you can't enjoy being with people. I mean, it's a
Absolutely.
weird time of year. I mean, people go to excesses and then they're stuck with family who they may not get along with. So it's a time to respect your own boundaries and take really good care of yourself so that you put your best self forward with your family and friends and you don't end up regretting having gotten a little too carried away.
Absolutely. You know, families are complicated, right? We all have one or we don't, and all of that is part of the complication. But even boundaries on conversations sometimes, right? We don't always have to get into the polarizing conversations. It used to be we had sort of this polite rule, you don't talk about religion or politics. We have clearly gone to a different extreme with that, and it's created a lot of polarization. But the reality is we have so much more in common than we don't. And, you know, finding those ways, it's just, you know how it is. Families will sometimes get on each other's nerves, but the more you can try to create a positive environment up front, then everyone gets to have what we're looking for out of the holidays, which is that warmth, that connection, that feeling of closeness and intimacy without feeling trodden on or, you know, like, why did I do this? This always happens, you know, those
Right.
types of conversations that happen after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you completely. Focusing on love and the time that you remember when you were younger, instead of allowing yourself to go down the rabbit hole or get pulled in by somebody who wants to be antagonistic.
Mhm.
And, you know, the other, I just want to reiterate, if you're at a party and it's getting crazy, drink water, just keep diluting and keep yourself out of a situation where you might say or do things you regret. Get a good night's
Exactly.
sleep, really address the foundations of health. And that
Mhm.
will help you enjoy your holiday season more, stay healthy, and build love and bridges with your family and friends.
Mhm.
And instead of letting it kind of take you down to a place you might not want to go just because other people are there baiting you.
Right. Exactly right. And, you know, just to sort of go all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, I just realized maybe some people, like you and I, know what naturopathy is because we've been in this healthy lifestyle for so many years. But what is naturopathy? How would someone who maybe is unfamiliar with it understand what it is or how it could potentially help them? Or what kinds of clients do you see? What kind of issues are you solving for them?
Okay, yeah. So naturopathic medicine is a freestanding profession. We're licensed in most states, half of the states in the US, as primary care providers. And we're really based on a set of principles that are all about building health. that the body knows how to heal itself when it's properly supported, and that we use the basics of diet and sleep and exercise to balance ourselves. Now, in practice, naturopathic doctors order blood work and help people with their diet and supplements, really to establish the basis for health. And that's why a talk like this before you go to a party is important, so you have some strategies in place. You're not going to just get there and drink yourself into a difficult place. Let's see, what else did you ask along that line?
Oh, it was just like what kind of people would come to you then? So it could be anyone with any type of ailment. Are there areas where naturopathy excels, or is it like you were saying, a primary care physician, you can really do everything with naturopathy that you could with Western medicine?
To a degree, yes, we treat the whole person, and I think that's one of the differences. So instead of going to an isolated organ system and giving a drug to mediate some biochemical pathway, we look at the whole person and look at the way they eat and live and how that is influencing their health. So naturopathic doctors tend to do blood work, tend to do lab work, tend to use nutrients and food and supplements instead of drugs, because we want to support our body's truly profound innate healing systems. Our body is always trying to recreate health, but we inadvertently sabotage it with junk food, not enough sleep, too much booze. And that's what, is fun about this class, because it's giving us an opportunity to look at the foundations for health. And then as a naturopathic doctor, I use drugs as little as possible. We're licensed to be able to provide them, but they're secondary to really learning how to take care of oneself. So we use nutrition, herbal medicine, homeopathy, a lot of lifestyle changes, and we treat everything. I mean, I've seen people today with high cholesterol and low thyroid, low adrenal function, terrible periods, migraine headaches. So I love being a naturopathic doctor. It's a 4-year graduate level training program, and we're licensed in about half of the states as primary care doctors. So we do lab, and we can, in most states, prescribe some medications, but that's not the focus of our work. The focus is really to help people understand how their body works, do lab work to help give them feedback, and then design personalized protocols that include diet and nutrients, hormones, sometimes thyroid hormone, adrenal, bioidentical hormones to keep their body in balance, and then use drugs when needed. But naturopathic medicine is really about, it's lifestyle medicine. And it's been an incredible experience for me. I was really lucky. I found out about it when I was about 25, and immediately knew that was for me. And that was a long time ago. And during these last several decades, we've seen, the profession grow and be licensed in more and more states. And in California, where we are, we're primary health care providers. And I have a wonderful practice in the Bay Area in Larkspur in Marin County.
Great. And so just so people, in case they want to find you or try some of these really great recipes or take your courses, I think you mentioned you have the spring detox, you have the immune system one, which would be perfect for right now.
Yes.
How do we find you on the web?
Okay, so Dr. Sally's Kitchen is my online home for food and natural healing, and it's drsallyskitchen.com, and that's where I have recipes, and that's where my online classes are. And then I have a practice in Larkspur, California, which is where I am today, seeing patients on my, this is my lunch hour. I'm at the Marin Natural Medicine Clinic in Larkspur. And I see a huge range of people, and it's really all about doing a thorough intake, so we really understand where their strengths and weaknesses are, and do labs. So and then explain it, because knowledge is power. When people understand what they're doing with the way they eat and live, then they have the power to change it. And there is so much to do besides, as is present in conventional medicine, just wait until it's broken and then fix it with strong drugs or surgeries. We want to get on this process of growing our health when we're younger, so that we don't have to succumb to all the chronic diseases that people have. So I love my practice and get to design personalized programs for people to build their health. And it's a wonderful thing.
That does sound wonderful. I think anyone who's been to Western medicine and been frustrated by, I have to get a referral over here, I have to get a referral over there, or maybe their primary care physician simply doesn't have enough time to really understand what's going on with them. So anyone who sort of felt challenged or frustrated or not in alignment with that system, highly recommend seeking a naturopath, seeking these different types of modalities that can really help support your body in a way. And then if there's something truly acute or that really needs sort of that Western medicine intervention, trusting that that naturopath is going to be able to recommend to you what that'll be once you've sort of tried out all the other better ways, the healthier ways, the more in alignment with nature ways to do all that. So thank you so much, Dr. Sally, for being here today. Really appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you next week in person. And of course, everyone can find you online and enjoy your classes. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It was truly my pleasure to spend this time with you, and I hope you have everyone online, a wonderful holiday season.
Absolutely.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. I hope you got some really great tips out of that conversation today. You know, here at Kombucha Camp, kombucha is not a cure. It is a pathway. It is a medium. It is a gateway into allowing your body to heal itself naturally. And of course, it's not the only thing that we need to consume in order to be healthy. And so hopefully Dr. Sally has really inspired you with her tips and recipes. And of course, if you found any of this conversation or content valuable, please share with a friend or someone else who might need to hear this information. Of course, like, share, follow. It's what we do here on social media. And I really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, sending love to you, sending love to you. You are loved, you are lovable. Love to you.